Good dawn there, Dusty. I'm Danny Page, and PlayStation Showcase came out last night, and I've been told Final Fantasy XVI's in there, so let's check it out. Oh, come on. Okay, so this Noctis looking character.
You all know the target. Shiva's dominant.
Shiva.
And only the dominant.
What's the face tats?
How do we even know
Pretty
the
cool,
girl
though.
will be among us?
Our kind do not question orders. We follow them.
It's a chocobo. It's a chocobo. I've got to tell someone.
There's chocobos in a Final Fantasy game. There's chocobos in a Final Fantasy game. Have you heard? There's chocobos in a Final Fantasy game.
Who thought there'd be a chocobo in a Final Fantasy game? That's crazy.
Sergeant, let's summon their icon.
Okay, the icon.
Icon?
Oh,
That thing's a bloody
okay,
mountain.
that's Titan. Oh, Shiva! Oh, I've got to tell someone else.
It's Shiva. It's not a summon though. It's an icon. It's the new cool name. It's not a summon though. It's just like the summons, but it's not exactly the summons. It's Shiva.
Who'd have thought that? Summons or icons in a Final Fantasy game. Pretty crazy stuff. Stuff we've never seen before. I don't know if I can contain my height. Let's go. Let's go.
Push that mother crystal
It's
easily.
It's very Game of Thronesy.
This will be a bitter fight.
I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones, but
You should
I
not
can
be
get
out
hyped
of
for it.
door.
Oh, look at the fight! Look at the fight! That's a Mulder! More chocobos.
Without
Right.
the blessing of the
Final Fantasy XII looking characters. Oh, that wing! The fight! The action!
So, this sentimental girl.
It's Phoenix! It's fucking Phoenix! Oh, God. Phoenix in a Final Fantasy game. God, Phoenix, Shiva, Titan. It's so original. No way. Okay. It's different. Oh, Phoenix. There is Final Fantasy XVI. It's real. It exists. It's PS5. Let's go. PlayStation 5 console exclusive. Suck it, Xbox. Oh, not for a limited time, but who cares after it's been out for a year, right? I wonder how many sales Remake's gonna get after it releases on other platforms. That was it. Oh, that was sick, guys. That was so cool. Like, there's so many things that there was like Shiva and Titan and Ifrit and Phoenix, and they're not summons, they're icons. Like, oh, it's just, you got Espers, Eidolons, like summons, and now you got icons. It's so original. It's the most original thing I've seen Final Fantasy do. And like crystals, they've never done anything to do with crystals in Final Fantasy. So I'm loving the originality of it. It's so good. I just can't believe it. It's absolutely breathtaking.
You're breathtaking.
The main character appears to look like Noctis, but not. So I guess Noctis is the new like player style character that is going to be over the next few games. Like you had Cloud, and then like everyone kind of looked like Cloud, and then they backed off of that a little bit, and like I guess Noctis is the new one that like is going to be the archetype for all the next like set of main characters for the next few games. Didn't really work with Lightning, but what better than the fact that it looks like the MMO? I love MMO games. Like the MMO games are probably better than all the standalone games that Final Fantasy have ever produced. There's only 2 MMOs, and from what I remember, 11 didn't do great, and 14 started poorly, but was supposedly made better by Yoshi P. Yeah, it's probably good to make it look like the MMOs. The MMOs probably the most successful Final Fantasy products to ever come out, and this will probably follow. It'll be exactly the same. It will just be strength to strength, like with Final Fantasy. I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited. It's going to be amazing. But then again, it's Final Fantasy. When is it not amazing? Apart from 13.2-ish, 13.3, 10.2, 11, bits of 15. But we're not talking about those. Like, this one is going to be so good. Like, I can feel it. I might set up a pre-order now if they'll let me, because the trailer had action gameplay. None of that turn-based rubbish that no one wants to play. Who cares about turn-based? Oh, strategy, like chess. Thinking about your moves and like, oh, should I heal now or should I heal on the next turn? Will I survive to the next turn? Who cares about that? Ugh, strategy. Ugh. Nah, it's all about action. So you don't have time to think. That's the way forward. That's why Persona 5 flopped, because they didn't have action combat. That's why chess is actually it died out years ago, because people don't like turn-based games. People prefer just like if you could play chess like that and you didn't have to wait for the other person to take their turn, then you take your turn, then chess probably would have survived. But as you know, turn-based games, they don't sell anymore. There's no reason to do turn-based. Well, I don't know if I can contain my hype. I might have to watch it again. Let's just calm down. Take a nice sip of tea. Oh, I'm sorry for having to leave multiple times, but I had to let people know how good it was. It's just, oh, let's give it another go. Let's see if we can get that same hype. The reflection shot is pretty cool, and like, yeah, the character does kind of have that Noctis feel about it. Shiva's dominant though, and only the dominant. Is the dominant the one that can control Shiva or like control the icon? Maybe they can pass off their power to their subs, I suppose. You'd have the dominant passing out their power of like their icons. Sort of like Kingsglaive. You had the king who had the power, but he could pass the power on to the Kingsglaive. So I imagine it's probably something similar to that. And the tattoos. I'm not sure if that's going to be... because that kind of gives me the vibe of Final Fantasy XIII, when Lucy or something like that, the ones that had the tattoos, or anyone that was going to turn into Crystal, I can't remember, like 13. Like, it's long gone from my memory, actually. The one time I actually got... it's a chocobo. Sorry, chocobos just get me every time. Yeah, I can't really remember anything about 13 apart from lightning, bland, hope, annoying. Was it Saz? He was cool, but he was cool by association to the chocobo chick in his afro. What was the other ones? Snow? Am I remembering that right? Played by Troy Baker. Just like everyone else in games these days, unfortunately. It's diversity for you, I suppose. If we didn't have games voiced by Nolan North and Troy Baker, I can only imagine the amount of people that would have work. Did everyone have the tattoos? What's the thing? Lightning. Cool concept. Cool sword. Terrible character. Style over substance, as they say. I've got to find this out now. I'm sorry. It says Lucy. And I'm wondering if the tattoos of these characters are because they hold the power that they've been given by their dominant, or maybe it's just branding, maybe it's just to say that we're part of this legion, and like we'll see if we can piece some more together.
Only the dominant.
How do we even know the girl will be among them?
Our kind do not question
Okay,
orders.
wait, so if you go back, that one's down. And then that guy's got a tattoo on their arm, so Okay, face tats, arm tats. I'm assuming, and I know you should never assume because you make an ass out of you and me, but I feel like the tattoos are going to be to do with their power, or like who's given them their power. So once again, I think it's very similar to Final Fantasy 15 with the king giving the power, or the Kingsglaive's power to his men. So I think that I'm right on that. I think the dominants are distributing their power out, or a fraction of their power out to their submissives. Okay, I suppose dominants and subordinates, I suppose you'd probably call them, because why would they be submissives? Apart from the fact that they would let someone lead them and they would just follow. So I don't know. Yeah, no, that makes sense. We don't question orders, we follow them because we're submissive, I suppose. I'm not sure if that's the necessary imagery. If it is subs and doms, then I'm not sure if that's the best connotations. This game does seem to be mature, it's got blood and that everywhere. Maybe they don't mind it having some sort of iffy connotations, but we'll see. Titan looks straight out of 15. I'll be honest, Shiva kind of looks like, was it Luna Freya? And then the dog, Umbra. Shiva looks like Luna. That dog looks like Umbra. So is Square running out of ideas? Do they have inspiration? Are they just going through the motions at this point? Are they just like looking at what came out previously and just going, yeah, let's just keep that style. I'm sure it'll do. Everyone buys our stuff anyway, regardless of the quality that we put out. Maybe they just don't care anymore. Maybe they're not putting in the effort like they used to because they know people just buy it without considering. Hopefully not. Like, I hear everyone go on about Yoshi P and they're like, oh yeah, he's amazing, he cares so much about the franchise. He single-handedly saved the MMO. I didn't play the MMO. And the only time that I did, I had to have a friend buy me a month's subscription. He was like, oh yeah, play the MMO. And I played it and it was like, oh, it's an MMO. I don't know what was so amazing or stand out about it. It didn't blow me away. It wasn't something especially special. I did have one bad experience that I don't know if that's the reason that I don't want to play it, but one of my friends took me on a chocobo ride. I tried to get off, but he just kept jumping on the chocobo, just kept jumping over and over again. And I couldn't get off the chocobo. And then we got into this area where there was really like high level enemies, and then he just, I don't know if he kicked me off the chocobo or he dismounted the chocobo, which forced me off. But like, I just got left in a high level area and just got obliterated, and that was a friend. MMOs, I like something to have a well-rounded story and not need to have consistent updates and to be good out of the box. Not something that you have to pay a subscription for and probably pay 5 times the normal asking price for a standard game. And the amount of games that I've like bought that are standalone and I've enjoyed them beginning to end, I've enjoyed them multiple times, and I didn't have to pay any more to keep enjoying them. I think that says it all, and that's why I like single player experiences. It just seems good single player experiences are fewer and farther between. Let's carry on with this. Really not a fan of the voice acting. I don't know if it's because of being English that it stands out and it just sounds really bad. If they are legitimate English voice actors, then I apologise. But I don't know. It sounds like someone doing a bad British accent. If I see another one, I'll point it out. I think that the end line is one that really stood out to me. The best thing about this whole trailer that I would say that I've seen is the combat. The combat looks like the best thing, and it's nice. Like, I do like turn-based, I like action. I'm not going to say whether I prefer one over the other because I've had a lot of good times with both, so I can't say definitively, because one of the 2 most recent games that I've played and really enjoyed to that much of an extent is Final Fantasy VII Remake and Persona 5, and they're complete opposites in gameplay style, but I absolutely love both of them. Knight that looks like straight out of Final Fantasy XII. Your character's doing warp strikes and stuff, so I can see why people are saying that it does have a bit of a 15 sort of vibe, but then the character's also using moves like the wing and fists, which are reminiscent of Titan, so I'm thinking that maybe if you are blessed by different people, maybe if you get a face tattoo from the group that has Titan, or if you get an arm tattoo by the group that has Shiva, you can use the powers of both, and maybe the ultimate goal is to get blessed by everyone to obtain the powers of all the different icons. I can imagine Joshua's gonna annoy me. I don't want to say for sure, but I don't want him to become the hope of this game. Joshua appears to harnessed his icon. I worry that you're gonna get a case of, are they gonna transform into the icons, or is it gonna be, you got them down on the ground and they summon the icons and then they're down on the ground fighting, the summons are doing stuff based on what they're doing down on the ground, almost like what was it, Real Steel with Hugh Jackman, and he's doing all the moves and then the robot's copying the moves. That might, I'll kill you if it's the last thing I do. I don't like the accent. It doesn't sound legit. If it is legit, if you are an Englishman doing that accent, if that's the direction they gave you and they said that it was great, I'm sorry. I'm not blaming you in the slightest. Yeah, I'm not a fan. I know I'm being hypercritical. I know that maybe this isn't even the final voice. Maybe you just got told, okay, we're releasing a trailer, just gonna chuck you in a booth and we just need you to say these specific lines and they're just gonna be trailer bait. Yes, I'm not gonna say that it's entirely terrible, but some of the lines in this, not my favourites. Because I don't think did we see anything that was actually dubbed, or was it all just kind of spoken as narration over the top of characters doing things? I didn't notice anyone actually saying stuff, but maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, and quite frankly I don't want to go through it again. I know I'm not the most reactionary person, like that's not my sort of thing. The stuff at the beginning was all parody. Like I see a lot of people that do act like that, and to be honest, if that stuff is genuine, if you genuinely feel like that, I envy you. I really wish I could feel that just emphatic about things. I can only imagine the joy and elation that you would feel from like having those reactions, because it looks fun. It looks like you're enjoying yourself, and who doesn't like to enjoy themselves? Like for some people it comes easier than others. For me it's a little bit more difficult. Maybe I'm a bit too cynical, maybe I'm a bit too pessimistic or critical, but if that's your genuine reactions, then power to you. I wish I could have the same reactions, but it's just not me. It took me it took so much energy for me to just fake those reactions for myself, and like I know what they say, fake it until you make it. I can imagine that would kill me inside. The only way I could get away with this in this video was purely through parody. That is one thing I will say, that like this video has been parody. The second half was a bit more legit crit. Don't get offended. If you think this is about you, then maybe you are the kind of YouTuber that I was parodying. But if that's your actual reaction, massive props to you, massive respect. I wish I had that kind of like, oh, I can't wait. Like I really wish I did, but I just don't have it in me. Even when I am hyped for something, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. I don't shout, I don't yell, I don't jump around the room and do backflips. Like it is very rare that I will get hyped to that degree. I can't even remember the last time that I was that hyped for anything. 10 seconds left. Once again, Final Fantasy 16. Classic artwork. It looks great as always. And that's the thing with Square. Any of their products, generally, I'm not so sure about this. I would say it doesn't look as good quality as some of the other stuff that they've brought out. Maybe it just needs some polish, but aesthetically, the title cards, they always look good. The styles of the characters always look good, but then no character behind the looks. I know I'm probably going to get some hate for this video. I don't mind. I'm a more modern Final Fantasy player. I haven't played the original games like 1 through 6. I do intend on getting around to them at some point, but I played 7 through to now. One common thread that I've seen going through online is Final Fantasy's gone back to its roots, and unfortunately for me, I don't hold any nostalgia for Final Fantasy's roots. Like I said, I'm a modern Final Fantasy player. I say modern, I've been playing Final Fantasy for 23 years. Yeah, to me that's the modern Final Fantasy era. And then you have the classic era of 1 through 6, which I wasn't a part of. So when you have these styles and you're just like, oh yeah, it's gone back to its roots, it's classic Final Fantasy, it's got crystals and stuff, it just doesn't have that same appeal to me. I'm sorry. Like I know it's probably sacrilege to true Final Fantasy fans. I never had a Nintendo console, so I was never going to get around to it. But I intend on getting around to it, and maybe that will give me a new appreciation for this game. Maybe it will reinvigorate my love of Final Fantasy. I've always liked Final Fantasy games games where it's either modern or futuristic. I'm not a massive fan of medieval stuff. As I said in my hard mode game of Final Fantasy VII, Game of Thrones, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, all that stuff, it doesn't really interest me. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I'm making any sense or if this is just a ramble. If you feel the same, let me know. If you're a modern Final Fantasy player as I've described it. So basically, my reaction is I'm not sure how to feel about it. I'm a little bit underwhelmed. It could be amazing, but I'll wait and see. It probably won't come out for another 3 to 5 years anyway. Plenty of time to get hyped, or pretend to be. But with that, if you like the video, drop us a like, and if you want to see more, subscribe, and wherever you are in the world, good morning, noon or night.